The cabin of SkyHigh Airlines Flight 719 from Seattle to Dallas was a frigid 63 degrees Fahrenheit, and my 7-year-old daughter, Amara, shivered as she hugged her stuffed owl. Luna. Then I saw her small hand reaching for a blanket, only to be met with a flight attendant's sharp refusal. "Those are for first class only." Moments later, that same attendant handed a blanket to a white passenger with a smile. Amara's eyes, wide with hurt, met mine across the aisle, and my heart shattered. I'm Jordan Hayes, a 46-year-old black tech mogul who owns SkyHigh, and in that moment, I knew my daughter had just tasted the bitter sting of racism. The video my assistant Clara recorded was already burning a hole in my phone, and I swore this wouldn't end with a quiet apology. It would spark a revolution. Amara, with her love for puzzles and dreams of becoming a coder like me, was traveling with Clara Washington, my 58-year-old executive assistant and confidant. Clara, a black woman who'd mentored me since my startup days in Oakland, had a laugh that could light up a room and a glare that could stop you cold. She'd been with me through the loss of my husband Malik to a heart attack 3 years ago, helping me raise Amara with love and grit. That day, Clara had taken Amara to a coding camp in Seattle, and they were flying to meet me in Dallas for a Carter Innovations keynote. "Daddy, will you show me the new app?" Amara had texted before boarding, her excitement palpable. I'd promised her a demo of our latest AI tool, but now, as I waited at Dallas-Fort Worth International, all I could think about was the video Clara sent. Clara's message was blunt. "Jordan, this is messed up. Amara's hurt." The clip showed flight attendant Lauren Mitchell, 42, with 20 years at SkyHigh, denying Amara a blanket with a curt, "First class gets priority." Her tone was icy, her gaze lingering on Amara's braided pigtails and Clara's modest blazer. When Amara, clutching Luna, said "Luna's cold too," Lauren's lips curled. Maybe teach her to plan better next time. But when a white woman in a business suit asked for a blanket, Lauren grabbed one from a stack 12 feet away, her voice warm. "Anything else, ma'am?" Amara's whispered. "Why'd she get one?" Broke me. I'd faced racism my whole life, tailing me in my own office, clients assuming I was the intern, but to see it wound my daughter was a knife to the gut. Lauren wasn't just any employee. Her personnel file, which I'd pulled up on my laptop, painted a picture of a woman steeped in privilege and unchecked bias. Raised in affluent Westport, Connecticut, she'd climbed SkyHigh's ranks by charming premium passengers code for white and wealthy. Her 52 complaints over 15 years, all alleging bias against black and Latino passengers, were buried by HR. Lauren's internal emails, leaked to me by a whistleblower, revealed her disdain. "Economy folks expect first-class treatment. Stick to protocol." Her polished exterior hid a core of entitlement, and I could feel her smugness through the screen. She thrived in a system that rewarded her biases, and that system was about to meet its reckoning. I paced the Dallas airport lounge, my 6 feet 4 inches frame drawing glances. At 46, I'd built Carter Innovations from a dorm room at Morehouse into a $15 billion empire, revolutionizing AI for education. 2 years ago, I'd bought SkyHigh to make travel inclusive, a tribute to Moloch's dream of connecting communities. But I'd kept my ownership quiet, observing operations to root out rot. Now, that rot had hurt Amara, and I was done playing subtle. I booked the return flight, SkyHigh 720, Dallas to Seattle, knowing Lauren would be on board. "Clara," I texted, "keep Amara close, I'm handling this." Her reply was instant. "She's asking why she's not fancy enough. Give hell, Jordan." When Amara and Clara deplaned, Amara ran to me, her puzzle book tucked under her arm. "Daddy, the lady was mean," she said, her voice small. I knelt, hugging her tightly. "You're fancier than anyone, puzzle queen. Nobody gets to make you feel less." Clara's eyes were fire. "She's tough, but this one's gonna stick, Jordan. Lauren's been at this too long." I nodded, my jaw tight. Clara had seen it redlining in Oakland, microaggressions at tech conferences. She'd taught Amara to code her first game at 5, but no code could shield her from this. "I'm fixing it," I promised, already planning my move. On flights, Stone 20, I boarded first class, my tailored blazer masking the fury inside. Lauren greeted me, her smile practiced. "Mr. Hayes, seat to a coffee." I shook my head, watching her. She didn't know I was SkyHigh's owner, but the captain did. "Mr. Hayes, a privilege to have you," he said, shaking my hand. Lauren's brow twitched, sensing something off. I waited until cruising altitude, then pressed the call button. Lauren approached, her confidence faltering. "Sir," I kept my voice low, lethal. "Tell me about SkyHigh's blanket policy." She straightened. "Blankets are for first class, sir, unless supplies allow." I leaned forward. "So wide. You deny a 7-year-old an economy yesterday, then give one to a white woman right after." Lauren's face drained of color. I don't recall every request." I pulled out my phone, playing Clara's video. Amara's voice, soft and confused, echoed. Lauren's eyes darted. "Trapped. That girl," I said, my words steel, "is my daughter, Amara. You told her she's not fancy enough." Lauren stammered. "I didn't mean A was following rules." I cut her off. "Rules don't say black kids get less. You chose that." Her hand shook, but I pressed on. I'm auditing SkyHigh, starting with you. Your employee ID now. She nodded, retreating, her career unraveling like a dropped stitch. Back in Seattle, I drove to SkyHigh's headquarters, a glass tower near Pike Place Market. Amara was with Clara, sketching a puzzle of stars, but her words, not fancy enough, haunted me. My coup, Lena Patel, met me with a dossier. Lauren's file is a mess. Jordan, 52 complaints, all swept under the rug. HR's complicit. I scanned the pages, seeing emails from HR Chief Greg Thornton dismissing complaints as petty. Coup Richard Holt's notes urged loyalty to staff like Lauren. This wasn't one woman, it was a machine, oiled by privilege, that I'd let run too long. I called a board meeting, my anger a controlled blaze. Amara deserved a world where her worth wasn't questioned, and I'd failed her by moving too slowly. As I prepared, my phone pinged a post on X from a passenger, a black nurse named Tasha who'd filmed Lauren's act from another angle. Her caption, "This is why we fight, #puzzle blankets." It had 75,000 retweets, the video nearing 4 million views. Tasha's DM to me read, "Your daughter's pain is ours. Make it right." I gripped my phone, the weight of a movement settling on me. This wasn't just about Amara, it was about every kid who'd been made to feel small. The boardroom was a pressure cooker, executives in tailored suits avoiding my gaze. I stood, projecting Clara's video on a 10-foot screen. Lauren's sneer, Amara's hurted, silenced the room. "My daughter was told she's not fancy enough because she's black," I said, my voice steady. "Lauren Mitchell did that, and you let her." I clicked to the complaints log. 52 reports of bias. Ignored. Greg, explain. Thornton, sweating, mumbled, "We prioritize actionable claims." I didn't flinch. A child's dignity isn't actionable. Richard Holt, the coup, tried to deflect. "Jordan, one incident doesn't." I stopped him cold. "It's not one. It's a culture you built, and it's done." Lauren's backstory gnawed at me. She wasn't a cartoon villain. She was a product of Westport's manicured lawns, where good meant white and rich. Her emails showed she saw black passengers as entitled for expecting equal treatment. She'd thrived because SkyHigh's old guardmen like Holt valued her efficiency over fairness. I turned to the board. "Lauren's fired." "Richard, Greg, your resignations by end of day." Holt's face reddened. "You'll tank the company." I stood taller. "I own it. I'll rebuild it." As security escorted Lauren out, her defiance cracked, tears falling. I felt no pity, only resolve. By evening, #puzzle blankets trended nationwide, CNN and MSNBC clamoring for statements. SkyHigh's stock plummeted 18%, but I didn't care. I texted Clara, "Tell Amara I'm making the sky fair for her." She replied, "She's coding a game about Luna. Keep pushing." In my office, I stared at a photo of Malik and Amara, their grins, my anchor. I'd promised Malik a world where Amara could soar, but money couldn't buy her immunity from bias. It could, however, amplify her voice. I sketched a plan, a Puzzle Skies app for anonymous bias reports, new training, and a kids program, inspired by Amara's puzzles. As Seattle's skyline glowed, I knew this was just the start. Amara's pain would fuel a reckoning, and I'd burn down every barrier to make her world right. My heart still burned from the sting of seeing my daughter Amara's hurt on that SkyHigh Airlines flight, her small voice asking why she wasn't fancy enough for a blanket. Jordan Hayes, a 46-year-old black tech mogul who owned the airline, had fired flight attendant Lauren Mitchell and 2 executives, but the fight was far from over. On the return flight from Dallas to Seattle, SkyHigh 720, I sat in first class, my tailored blazer a thin shield against the storm brewing. Inside me, the 1,900-mile journey was my chance to confront Lauren face-to-face, to peel back the layers of her bias and expose the rot in my airline's culture. As the plane hummed at 35,000 feet, I gripped my phone, replaying Clara's video of Lauren's casual cruelty. Amara's confusion, Clara's steely resolve. It fueled me. This wasn't just about one blanket. It was about every black child who'd been made to feel less, every passenger dismissed because of their skin. I'd built Carter Innovations to empower bot SkyHigh to connect, but Lauren's actions showed how far we'd strayed. Today, I'd stare down that failure and demand answers. Lauren approached my seat, her polished smile faltering as she recognized me from the boarding. "Mr. Hayes, can I assist you?" Her voice was tight, her eyes darting like a cornered animal. I leaned forward, my 6 feet 4 inches frame commanding the space. "Let's talk about your service standards, Lauren. Why did my daughter Amara get denied a blanket yesterday, but a white passenger got one without hesitation?" Her face drained of color, her hands trembling as she clutched her notepad. I was following protocol. "Sir, blankets are prioritized for first class." Her words were rehearsed, but her voice cracked, betraying her. I pulled out my tablet. "The video cued protocol," I said, my tone low. "Lethal, watch this." Amara's small plea for Luna's warmth filled the air, followed by Lauren's curt dismissal and her warm handover to the white woman. Lauren's eyes widened, a mix of fear and defiance flickering across her face. "That's my daughter," I said, each word a hammer. You told her she's not fancy enough because she's black, Lauren stammered. I didn't know she was your daughter. Mr. Hayes, I'd cut her off, my voice steady but sharp. You shouldn't need to know who her father is to treat her with dignity. You saw her skin and made a choice. Her lips parted, but no words came. I pressed on, my years of facing subtle slights being followed in my own office, questioned at board meetings, despite my wealth pouring into my words. SkyHigh's policy says blankets are for all passengers, as supplies allow. You had 20 blankets 12 feet away. Explain. Lauren's defiance crumbled, her shoulders slumping. It's how we're trained, she whispered. Focus on premium passengers, the ones who look important. The admission hung heavy, a confession of a culture I'd failed to dismantle. Important, I repeated, my eyes locked on hers. My 7-year-old coding her own games, dreaming of algorithms is C's not important. Lauren looked away, tears welling, but I felt no pity, only resolve. Your employee ID, I said. This audit's just starting. As she retreated to the galley, I leaned back, my mind racing. Lauren wasn't a lone villain. She was a symptom. Her file, emailed by my Kulina Patel, revealed 52 complaints of bias, buried by a system that valued efficiency over equity. Her Westport upbringing, steeped in manicured privilege, had shaped her lens. Black passengers were entitled, white ones deserving. But she'd thrived because SkyHigh's old guard, men like Richard Holt, rewarded her. I glanced out the window, the clouds a blur. I'd faced the same biased bankers assuming I couldn't afford my $10 million penthouse, gala hosts mistaking me for staff. Each slight had hardened me, but Amara's pain was different. She was my puzzle queen, her mind a constellation of possibility, and Lauren had dimmed her light. I texted Clara, who was with Amara in Seattle. How's she holding up? Clara's reply was quick. She's quiet. Jordan keeps asking if she did something wrong. Hurry. The captain's voice crackled, announcing our descent. I prepared for what came next. Lauren's actions were personal, but the real fight was systemic. I'd bought SkyHigh to honor my late husband Moloch's vision of travel as a bridge, not a gatekeeper. He'd grown up in Dallas's Oak Cliff, where buses were lifelines, and dreamed of an airline that welcomed everyone. I'd failed that dream, moving too slowly to uproot bias. But Amara's hurt was my wake-up call. I opened my laptop, drafting a plan, a puzzle Skies app for anonymous bias reports, mandatory anti-bias training, and a kids program to ensure no child felt less. Amara's love for puzzles inspired me. She'd solve this with me. Her ideas shaping a fairer sky. Lauren returned, her face a mask of forced composure, handing me a coffee I hadn't ordered. Mr. Hayes, I'm sorry if I upset your daughter. It was a busy flight. Her apology was hollow, a bid to save her job. I set the coffee down, untouched. You're not sorry for your bias, Lauren. You're sorry you got caught. Her eyes flashed with anger, a glimpse of the entitlement beneath her polish. I've given SkyHigh 20 years, she snapped. I know how to serve passengers who matter. The words were a slap, confirming her worldview. Passengers who matter, I repeated, my voice cold. Write that down for my report. It'll help explain why you're done. She froze, realizing her mistake, then turned away. Her steps unsteady. A passenger across the aisle, a young black man in a hoodie, leaned over. I saw what happened yesterday, he said quietly. My sisters dealt with that crap too. You're gonna fix this. His name was Devin, a graphic designer from Tacoma, and his raw honesty hit me. I'm trying, I said. What would you want? He thought for a moment. Make it so nobody feels invisible, you know, like they're not worth a damn blanket. I nodded, his words echoing Amara's. Devin pulled out his phone, showing me a sketch he'd posted on X, a puzzle piece shaped like a blanket, captioned #puzzleblankets. Every piece matters. It had 20,000 likes, a spark in the growing fire. Keep drawing, I told him. You're part of this now. The plane landed in Seattle, and I disembarked, my resolve ironclad. Lauren's bias was a symptom, but the disease was deeper. At SkyHigh's headquarters I met Lena, who dug deeper into Lauren's history. She's not alone, Jordan, Lena said, her voice grim. 10 other attendants have similar complaint patterns, all protected by Holt and Thornton. She showed me an email from Richard Holt to Lauren. Keep the VIPs happy. Economy can wait. It was coded, but clear. VIPs meant white, wealthy. I clenched my fists, remembering Moloch's stories of being ignored on flights, his warmth dismissed. Because of his skin, I'd vowed to make SkyHigh different, but I'd underestimated the resistance. I walked into the boardroom, a sleek space with views of Puget Sound, where executives waited, tense. Richard Holt, 60, with a silver mane and a smug grin, stood to greet me. Jordan, let's not overblow this blanket thing. I ignored him, projecting Devin's sketch on the screen, then Clara's video. Amara's voice silenced the room. This is my daughter, I said, my gaze sweeping the table. Lauren Mitchell told her she's not fancy enough because she's black, and you let her, Richard. I clicked to Lauren's complaint, log 52 reports, 0 actions. Greg Thornton, why'd HR bury these? Greg, 55, adjusted his tie. Sweating, we filter for validity. Jordan, most were minor. I stepped closer, minor. A child's worth is minor. Richard tried to deflect Lorenz, a star employee. One slip doesn't. I cut him off, my voice ablaze. One slip. This is a pattern you enabled. I showed Holt's email, his own words damning him. The room grew still, executives avoiding my eyes. Lauren's privilege, honed in Westport's elite circles, had been weaponized by culture. She wasn't a lone wolf. She was a favored soldier in a system that valued white comfort over black dignity. I turned to the board. Lauren's gone. Richard, Greg, your resignations are due tonight. SkyHigh's changing, with or without you. As security escorted Lauren out, her tears were less about remorse than fear. She'd built her life on SkyHigh's approval, her bias to currency that bought her promotions. Now, that currency was worthless. I felt a pang, not sympathy, but recognition. Lauren was a product of a world that taught her blackness was lesser, just as I'd been taught to prove my worth twice over. But Amara paid the price, and that was unforgivable. By nightfall, #puzzle blankets hit 5 million views. Tasha's video, fueling outrage. NBC and CNN called, but I wasn't ready to speak. I needed to see Amara to hold her and promise a better world. At home, Amara sat with Clara, her puzzle book open but untouched. "Daddy, did I mess up?" she asked, her eyes searching mine. I knelt, my heart breaking. "No, Puzzle Queen, the lady made a bad choice, not you." Clara, her braids framing a weary face, added, "She's been coding to cope." Jordan, made a game where Luna gets a blanket. I smiled, despite the ache. "That's my girl." I hugged Amara, her small frame trembling. Clara's eyes met mine, her voice low. "This ain't just Lauren. It's everywhere. What's next?" I stood, my vision clear. We rebuild SkyHigh for Amara, for Devon, for everyone. The video of my daughter Amara being denied a blanket on SkyHigh Airlines Flight 719 had exploded across the internet, a searing indictment of the racism embedded in my own company. I, Jordan Hayes, a 46-year-old black tech mogul and owner, had fired flight attendant Lauren Mitchell and executives Richard Holt and Greg Thornton. But the world's eyes were now on me. As I stood in my Seattle office, a 40-story glass tower overlooking Puget Sound, the weight of 5 million video views, and the trending #puzzle blankets hashtag pressed against my chest. My phone buzzed relentlessly. CNN, MSNBC, even X-posts from strangers like Tasha, the nurse who'd amplified Amara's pain. My 7-year-old, with her love for puzzles and coding, had become a symbol. Her hurt a spark that ignited a national reckoning. But this wasn't just about public outrage. It was about dismantling a system that let Lauren's bias thrive. About ensuring no child, no passenger, felt not fancy enough again. I gripped a photo of my late husband Malik and Amara, their smiles urging me forward. The ripple effect of that single blanket denial was spreading, and I was determined to turn it into a tidal wave of change. The morning after the confrontation on Flight 720, I called my executive assistant, Clara Washington, who was with Amara at our Capitol Hill home. "How's my Puzzle Queen?" I asked, my voice softer than the steel I'd shown Lauren. Clara, 58, her braids framing a face etched with wisdom, sighed. "She's coding, Jordan, but she's quiet. Keeps asking if the mean lady is mad at her." My throat tightened. Amara's innocence, her belief that she'd caused Lauren's cruelty, was a wound I couldn't bandage with wealth or power. "Tell her I'm proud of her," I said. "And Clara, I need you at HQ today. We're rewriting SkyHigh's soul." Clara's chuckle was warm but fierce. "About time. I'm bringing Amara's latest game design. She's got ideas for you." I smiled, picturing Amara's sketches of Luna the owl solving puzzles. Her creativity was my anchor, a reminder of why this fight mattered. At SkyHigh's headquarters, my Kulina Patel met me with a tablet full of data. "The stock's down 18%. Jordan," she said, her dark eyes steady. "Investors are spooked, but the public's with you. X is a war zone, half calling for boycotts, half demanding reform." She swiped to a graph. 80% of #puzzle blankets posts supported Amara, with 3,000 new complaints about SkyHigh's service flooding in overnight. "People are sharing their own stories," Lena added. "Black passengers ignored, Latino families rushed through boarding. It's not just Lauren." I nodded, my jaw tight. Lauren's file, now a 200-page dossier, revealed a pattern. Her bias wasn't an outlier but a symptom of a culture fostered by Holt's VIP first memos. I'd uncovered 15 other attendants with similar complaints, their records shielded by Greg Thornton's HR machine. "This ends now," I said. "Get me every manager in the boardroom, Lena. We're tearing this down to the studs." The boardroom, with its sleek oak table and floor-to-ceiling windows, buzzed with tension as 20 managers filed in. I stood at the head, projecting Tasha's video on a 12-foot screen. Amara's small voice, "Why'd she get one?" silenced. Their whispers. "This is my daughter," I said, my 6'4" frame casting a long shadow. "Lauren Mitchell denied her a blanket because she's black, and you let it happen." I clicked to a new slide. 1,200 bias complaints across Sky. In 5 years, 90% unresolved. Managers shifted uncomfortably, some scribbling notes, others avoiding my gaze. This isn't one bad apple, I continued. It's a system you've all upheld, consciously or not. I paused, letting the weight settle. Today, we start fixing it. I unveiled the Puzzle Skies app, a tool I'd sketched the night before. Passengers can report bias anonymously, I explained, showing a mock-up. It logs interactions, flags, patterns, and feeds data to a new equity team. The app's interface, inspired by Amara's puzzle games, let users piece together their stories, ensuring no voice was ignored. Managers murmured, some skeptical, others intrigued. This isn't optional, I said. Every employee will be trained to use it, and every report will be investigated. I clicked to a second initiative, a Sky Puzzles program for kids, ensuring all young passengers got comfort items, blankets, activity books, even owl-shaped pillows like Luna. Amara's sketch of a starry blanket flashed on screen. Her handwriting noting, for everyone no matter what. The room softened, a few managers smiling. My daughter's leading this, I said. She's 7, and she's already smarter than us. But the room's mood shifted when I addressed Lauren's enablers. Richard Holt and Greg Thornton are gone, I said. But their legacy lingers in you. I projected an email from Holt to managers. Prioritize premium passengers. They're our revenue. The coded language premium as white, wealthy was unmistakable. This stops, I declared. We're auditing every policy, every training manual. If it smells like biased, it's out. A manager, Tom Reynolds, raised his hand, his voice cautious. Jordan, passengers expect tiered service. Are we ignoring first class now? I leaned forward, my eyes locked on his. First class gets legroom, not dignity. Amara's worth isn't less than a CEO's, and neither is anyone's. Tom nodded, chastened, but I knew changing minds would be harder than changing rules. Outside, the world was moving faster than my reforms. By noon, #Puzzle Blankets hit 6 million views, with Tasha's video shared by celebrities and activists. A new X-post caught my Aja thread by Devon, the graphic designer from Flight 720, detailing his sister's experiences with SkyHigh attendants ignoring her disability accommodations. This ain't new, he wrote. #Puzzle Blankets is just the one we saw. His thread had 100,000 likes, and he'd added a digital mural of passenger faces, each a puzzle piece. I DM'd him, your art's powerful, Devon. Want to design 4 puzzle skies? His reply was instant. Hell yeah. Let's make them see us. I smiled, his fire reminding me of Moloch's passion for justice. But the backlash was growing too. SkyHigh's customer service lines were flooded, some callers defending Lauren, claiming she was just doing her job. A conservative pundit on Fox tweeted, #Puzzle Blankets is a woke overreaction. Flight attendants can't please everyone. My blood boiled, but Clara's voice in my head steadied me. Focus on Amara, not the noise. I called Lena. Draft a statement. I said, no excuses, no deflection. We own this and we're fixing it. Lena, who'd faced her own battles as an Indian American in tech, nodded. Got it. We'll say we failed Amara and we're rebuilding trust, starting with action. The statement, posted on X at 2 p.m., garnered 200,000 retweets. That acknowledges the pain caused on Flight 719. We're implementing immediate reforms to ensure equity for all passengers. The public's response wasn't all kind. SkyHigh stock dipped another 5%, and my inbox filled with hate mail, some calling me a race baiter, others threatening boycotts. But the support outweighed the venom. A Dallas teacher started a #Puzzle Blankets fundraiser for black coding camps, raising $50,000 in hours. A Seattle imam emailed, offering to host a community forum at SkyHigh's HQ. I replied, let's do it. Every voice matters. The forum, set for next week, would include passengers, employees, and activists, a puzzle of perspectives to guide our path. I pictured Amara there, her owl pillow in hand, listening as adults learned what she already knew. Fairness isn't a privilege, it's a right. Lauren, meanwhile, was unraveling. A colleague leaked that she'd locked herself in her Kirkland apartment, blinds drawn, her phone off. X-posts tagged her as Blanket Lady, her face plastered across news sites. I learned from Lena that Lauren had called HR, begging for reinstatement, claiming she was scapegoated. Her desperation was palpable, but so was her denial. She'd emailed a manager, insisting, I treated everyone the same. The girl's father is blowing this out of proportion. The lie stung, but it revealed her core. She saw Amara's blackness as a deficit, not a detail. Lauren's Westport roots, where different meant lesser, had wired her to prioritize white comfort. She wasn't evil, just blind. And that blindness had cost her everything. I visited Amara that evening, needing her light to ground me. She sat cross-legged on her bedroom floor, coding a game where Luna solved a maze to find a blanket. Look, Daddy, she said, her eyes bright for the first time since the flight. Luna wins when everyone gets warm. I hugged her, my heart swelling. You're teaching me, Puzzle Queen. Clara, sipping tea, watched us. She's healing, Jordan, but she needs you to keep going. The world's watching, I nodded, my resolve deepening. Amara's game wasn't just a child's project, it was a blueprint. I envisioned the Sky Puzzles app feature where kids could design equity-focused games, their ideas shaping SkyHigh's culture. What if we launched this with you? I asked Amara. Her grin was my answer. Back at HQ, I met with a crisis consultant, Sarah Kim, who'd handled tech PR storms. You need to speak publicly, Jordan, she urged. The silence is letting haters control the narrative. I hesitated, picturing Amara's face on every screen. She's 7. Sarah, I won't make her a spectacle. Sarah nodded, her eyes kind. Then speak as a father and a leader. Share your story, not hers. I agreed, scheduling an NBC interview for tomorrow. I'd talk about Moloch's dream, my fights with bias, and Amara's vision for a fairer sky. But first, I needed to confront the internal storm. The viral storm of #puzzle blankets had swept the nation, with 6 million views exposing the racism my daughter Amara faced on SkyHigh Airlines Flight 719. Denied a blanket because of her blackness. Jordan Hayes, a 46-year-old black tech mogul, and SkyHigh's owner, had fired flight attendant Lauren Mitchell and 2 executives. But the real work transforming a broken system and healing Amara's hurt was just beginning. As I stood in my Seattle office, the city's skyline framed by rain-streaked windows, my phone buzzed with messages. Tasha's art project for kids, Devin's digital mural, and a flood of ex-posts demanding change. My heart ached for Amara, whose 7-year-old innocence had been bruised by Lauren's bias, but her resilience coding a game where Luna the owl triumphed lit a fire in me. This wasn't just about one flight. It was about rewriting SkyHigh's soul, ensuring every passenger felt seen. I'd promised my late husband Malik a world where Amara could soar. And now, with the world watching, I was turning her pain into a blueprint for equity. Clara Washington, my 58-year-old executive assistant and Amara's rock, called me from home. Jordan, Amara's asking if the mean lady will apologize, she said, her voice a mix of warmth and steel. She's coding again, but she's carrying this. I gripped the phone, picturing Amara's braids bent over her laptop, her puzzle book untouched. Tell her I'm making things right, I said. And Clara, you're taking the lead on this. I want you as SkyHigh's chief inclusion officer. Clara paused, her breath catching. Jordan, I'm no executive. I'm just your family, I interrupted. You've mentored me for 20 years, raised Amara with me, you know what's at stake. She chuckled softly. All right, boss, let's fix this for our girl. I smiled, knowing Clara's Oakland grit and heart would reshape SkyHigh's culture at headquarters. I launched into action, meeting my Lena Patel, in the bustling equity team office. The Puzzle Skies app is live, Lena said, showing me the interface on her tablet. Passengers could report bias with a tap, their stories forming a digital mosaic inspired by Devin's mural. We've got 500 reports already, she added, mostly about subtle slights, ignored requests, curt tones. I nodded, the data confirming what I'd feared. Lauren's act was a symptom, not the disease. I'd partnered with historically black colleges and universities, HBCUs like Howard and Spelman, to launch aviation scholarships, aiming to diversify SkyHigh's ranks. We're hiring 50 new trainees, Lena said, half from HBCUs vetted for empathy, not just resume. I felt a spark of hope. Good in the Sky Puzzles program, Lena grinned. Amara's starry blanket design is in production. Every kid gets one, economy or first class. I visited Amara at home, needing her light to ground me. She sat cross-legged, coding a new level for her Luna game where the owl shared blankets with other animals. Daddy, look, she said, her eyes bright. Luna makes everyone warm now. I hugged her, my heart swelling. You're changing the world, Puzzle Queen. Clara, sipping coffee, handed me Amara's Sketcher starry blanket with 4, all written in her looping scroll. She wants this on every plane, Clara said. Kids at her coding camp are drawing their own. I envisioned the Sky Puzzles event at Seattle Tacoma International, kids unveiling their designs to a crowd of passengers and press. Let's make it happen, I said. Amara leads the launch. Her grin was a promise that her hurt wouldn't define her. Meanwhile, Lauren Mitchell was spiraling. A friend of hers, a former SkyHigh attendant, tipped Lena off. Lauren was holed up in her Kirkland apartment, blinds shut, her social media flooded with blanket lady taunts. She'd applied to other airlines, but her name was toxic. One would touch her. I got an email from her, forwarded by HR, pleading for a meeting. I'm not a racist, she wrote. I was following SkyHigh's culture. Please, I need my life back. The words stung, not because I believed her, but because they echoed her denial. Lauren, raised in Westport's bubble of privilege, saw black passengers as lesser, a bias honed by years of prioritizing white comfort. She wasn't a monster, just a woman blind to the harm she'd caused. And that blindness had shattered Amara's trust. I agreed to meet Lauren, not out of mercy but to understand her. At a quiet coffee shop near Pike Place Market, she sat across from me, her once crisp appearance, frayed hair loose, eyes red. Mr. Hayes, she started, her voice shaky. I'm sorry about Amara. I didn't know she was your daughter. I leaned forward, my gaze steady. That's the problem, Lauren. You shouldn't need to know her father to treat her like a person. She flinched, tears welling. I was taught to focus on first class, the right passengers. It's how I got promoted. Her honesty was raw, but it reeked of entitlement. The right passengers, I said, my voice low. White ones, you mean? She looked away, her silence damning. I've lost everything, she whispered. What do you want from me? I paused, weighing my words. I want you to face what you did, not to me. To Amara, she's 7, and you taught her she's less. Lauren's face crumpled, but her tears felt more like self-pity than remorse. I stood, leaving her with a challenge. Enroll in sensitivity training, Lauren. Volunteer in a community you've ignored. If you want redemption, earn it. As I walked away, I felt no satisfaction, only resolve. Lauren's journey wasn't my concern, but her actions had exposed SkyHigh's flaws, and I'd used them to rebuild. Back at HQ, I met with Mia, the young black attendant who'd spoken up. I'm joining the equity team, she said, her voice firm. I've dealt with Lauren's my whole life. I want to train staff to see us. I nodded, impressed. You're in charge of onboarding. Make it real. Mia's eyes lit up, her passion a mirror of Amara's. The Sky Puzzles event took shape. Set for next month at SeaTac Airport. Amara, now calling herself Puzzle Director, worked with Clara to plan it. Kids from her coding camp submitted blanket design stars, rockets, even a puzzle piece owl like Luna. I funded the event, inviting families, media, and Tasha, whose #Puzzle Blankets art project had grown into a national campaign. Tasha met me at HQ, her nurse's scrubs swapped for a blazer. Kids are painting blankets for shelters, she said, showing me photos of vibrant designs. They're inspired by Amara. I choked up, picturing Amara's starry sketch sparking joy, SkyHigh's matching every donation. I said, and you're speaking at the event? Tasha grinned. Deal. Let's show the world what equity looks like. SkyHigh's transformation was gaining momentum. The Puzzle Skies app logged 2,000 reports in its first week. Revealing patterns, black passengers waited longer for service. Latino families got less attention at gates. I hired a data scientist, Dr. Elena Rees, to analyze trends. Her findings shaping new training. Bias isn't always blatant. Elena told me it's in the seconds of hesitation, the clipped responses. Her team crafted roleplays, forcing attendants to confront their instincts. Clara, as Chief Inclusion Officer, led the first session, her presence commanding. I've been Amara, she told 50 trainees. I've been ignored, dismissed. You decide who gets seen. A white attendant, visibly shaken, admitted, I didn't realize I treated passengers differently. Clara nodded. Now you do. Change it. Lauren, meanwhile, enrolled in sensitivity training mandated by a settlement to avoid a lawsuit. Lena got updates from the facilitator, Dr. Maya Chen, who said Lauren was resistant, insisting I'm not prejudiced, just practical. But cracks were forming. Lauren's journal, a training requirement, noted moments she'd never questioned, choosing a white cashier over a black one, assuming a black teen was trouble. I'm starting to see it, she wrote, but it's hard to unlearn. She volunteered at a Tacoma youth center, teaching resume skills to black and Latino teens. One, a 16-year-old named Jamal, challenged her. Why'd you do that to Amara? Did you think she didn't matter? Lauren, caught off guard, mumbled. I didn't think. Jamal's bluntness shook her, a mirror to her blind spots. I prepared for my NBC interview, knowing the world wanted my voice. Sarah Kim, my crisis consultant, coached me. Be real, Jordan. Share Molik's dream, Amara's strength. I nodded, but my heart raced, exposing my pain. Being followed in my own office. Questioned at banks felt raw, but Amara's hurt demanded it. At home, I sat with Amara, watching her code. Daddy, will the mean lady say sorry? She asked, her eyes searching. I hesitated, then said, she might, puzzle queen. But we're making sure no one else hurts kids like you. She hugged Luna, nodding. Luna says everyone gets a blanket now. I kissed her forehead, her faith fueling me. The interview aired, live, my voice steady as I shared Molik's vision for an inclusive airline, my fights with bias, and Amara's starry blanket. This isn't about one flight, I said, leaning forward. It's about a system that lets a child feel less. Because of her skin, we're changing that. X erupted, #puzzle blankets trending with 8 million views. A new hashtag Sky for All, emerged, with passengers sharing stories of hope, attendants offering extra snacks, kids getting owl pillows. SkyHigh's stock stabilized, analysts noting my decisive leadership. But the real win was a smile when I showed her the app's first success. A black family praised an attendant for equal care. We're solving the puzzle, Daddy, she said. I hugged her, knowing this was just one piece in a larger fight, but it was a sky where everyone belonged. The #puzzle blankets movement had reshaped SkyHigh Airlines, turning my daughter Amara's pain into a beacon for equity across the skies. Jordan Hayes, a 46-year-old black tech mogul and SkyHigh's owner, stood at Seattle's Navy Pier, the glittering water reflecting the promise of a new horizon. The viral video of Amara being denied a blanket because of her blackness had sparked a reckoning, firing flight attendant Lauren Mitchell, ousting executives, and launching reforms that rippled beyond my airline. Now 6 months later, with 8 million views and a nation watching, I was here to celebrate SkyHigh's transformation at our annual gala, where Amara's starry blanket design would take flight. My heart swelled with pride for my 7-year-old puzzle queen. But the weight of our journey, her hurt, my resolve, and the fight against systemic racism still lingered. This was more than a corporate victory. It was a vow to my late husband, Malik, to build a world where Amara could soar, unburdened by bias. As I prepared to speak, I knew this moment was a chance to cement change, to inspire others, and to reflect on the lessons that had brought us here. The gala was alive with energy, 500 employees and guests filling the Pier's Grand Ballroom. Clara Washington, my 58-year-old chief inclusion officer, stood beside me, her braids gleaming under the chandeliers. "Amara's ready," she whispered, nodding toward my daughter, who wore a miniature SkyHigh uniform, clutching her stuffed owl. Luna, Clara, who'd guided me through Malik's loss and Amara's upbringing, had become SkyHigh's heart, her Oakland wisdom shaping our new training. "You've done it, Jordan," she said, her eyes warm. "This is Malik's dream." I squeezed her hand, my throat tight. "We're not done yet." The Puzzle Skies app, now with 10,000 user reports, had exposed bias patterns, while the Sky Puzzles programmed ensured every child boarded with a starry blanket or owl pillow. Amara's design, a puzzle piece sky with "for all" embroidered, was now on every flight, a symbol of inclusion. Lauren Mitchell's journey haunted me. After her firing, she'd faced a firestorm at her Kirkland apartment, mobbed by reporters, her name synonymous with Blanket Lady. Her initial denial had given way to growth through sensitivity training and volunteering at a Tacoma youth center. She'd emailed me a month ago, her words raw. "Mr. Hayes, I see now how my actions hurt Amara. I'm not asking for forgiveness, but for a chance to teach others." I'd hesitated, Amara's hurt still fresh, but Clara urged me to consider it. "She's not the same woman," Clara said. "Let her prove it." Lauren now stood across the room, a training consultant, her once rigid posture softened. She'd started a blog, Facing Bias, sharing her mistakes with a growing audience of 25 to 55-year-olds on X. Her latest post, about mentoring a black teen named Jamal, had 50,000 likes. I didn't trust her fully, but her evolution was a testament to accountability's power. The gala's highlight was the unveiling of the Equity in Travel Summit, a first-of-its-kind event I'd funded to unite airlines in fighting bias. Set for next month in Chicago, it would feature Tasha, the nurse whose #puzzle blankets post sparked a movement, and Devin, the graphic designer whose digital mural inspired the Puzzle Skies app. Tasha, now a community organizer, approached me, her smile radiant. "The kids' blanket project raised $100,000 for shelters," she said. "Amara's story changed lives." I hugged her, grateful for her courage. Devin, nearby, showed me his latest design, a mural of passengers holding starry blankets, projected on the ballroom's 20-foot screen. "This is for Amara," he said. "Every face counts." I nodded, my chest tight. Their voices, like Amara's, were piecing together a fairer sky. Amara took the stage, her tiny frame commanding the room. "Hi, I'm Amara, puzzle director," she said, holding Luna. "My blankets for everyone, because nobody should feel cold or not fancy enough." The crowd erupted, cameras flashing as she handed out starry blankets to kids from diverse backgrounds, Black, Latino, Asian, white. I watched, tears pricking my eyes. Her hurt on Flight 719 had been a wound, but her strength was healing it. Clara, now leading a podcast, Caregivers Truth, shared stories of black nannies like herself, amplifying voices long ignored. Her latest episode, featuring Amara's coding camp friends, had 200,000 downloads, a chorus of hope for our audience. Mia, the young black attendant who'd joined the Equity team, stood nearby, training new hires with a fire that rivaled Clara's. "We're making SkyHigh a mirror for everyone," Mia told me, her eyes fierce. "No more invisible passengers." SkyHigh transformation was tangible. Our stock had climbed 5% above pre-crisis levels, analysts praising our industry-leading equity model. Competitors like Delta and United adopted Puzzle Sky-style apps, and American Airlines joined our summit, pledging scholarships. The Seattle Imams Community Forum, held last month, had packed our HQ with 300 locals, their stories shaping our policies. One passenger, a black mother, shared how an attendant had helped her son feel welcome post-incident, a small victory that felt monumental. I'd hired Alina Ruiz, our data scientist, to track progress. Customer satisfaction was up 20% across all demographics, and employee retention soared as staff embraced our values. The Equity in Travel Summit would share our playbook, a free resource for any airline ready to change. Lauren approached me after Amara's speech, her eyes nervous but clear. "Mr. Hayes, thank you for letting me be here," she said. "I train staff now, using my story to show how bias hides in plain sight." I studied her, remembering Amara's question, "Will the mean lady say sorry?" Lauren had apologized in her email, but this felt real. What's changed, Lauren? I asked. She took a breath. I saw Amara as other because that's what I was taught in Westport. I'm unlearning it, teaching others to see differently. I nodded, not forgiving but acknowledging. Keep going. It's not about you, it's about the next Amara. She nodded, tears falling, and walked away. Her blog's latest post trending with #SkyForAll. I took the stage, the crowd quieting. 6 months ago, my daughter was told she wasn't fancy enough because she's black. I said, my voice steady. That pain woke us up. SkyHigh isn't just an airline now, it's a promise that every passenger, every child, belongs. I shared Malik's dream, my fights with bias and Amara's starry blanket. This is for her, for you, for every voice ignored. We're not perfect, but we're accountable. The crowd roared, Amara running to hug me, Luna in tow. We did it, Daddy, she whispered. I kissed her forehead, my heart full. You did, Puzzle Queen. Later, alone on the pier, I stared at the stars, Malik's memory beside me. This journey had taught me lessons I'd carry forever. First, racism thrives in silence. Lauren's bias flourished because no one challenged it. Speaking up like Tasha and Devin did breaks that silence. Second, change requires action, not apologies. Firing Lauren wasn't enough. Rebuilding SkyHigh's culture was. Third, children like Amara see truth, adults miss her. Puzzle solved what my wealth couldn't. Finally, redemption is possible, but it's earned through accountability, not pity. Lauren's growth, Clara's leadership, Mia's fire, they showed me transformation starts with owning our flaws. I thought of Amara coding her next game, her dreams unbound. This wasn't the end, it was a beginning. The Equity in Travel Summit would carry our mission forward, uniting industries to ensure no passenger felt less. As I walked back to the gala, Amara's laughter echoing, I knew Malik would be proud. We'd turned pain into purpose, one starry blanket at a time. If you were in a similar situation, facing racial bias in service, discrimination against children, or assumptions based on class and appearance, how would you approach it to achieve the best possible outcome? Would you confront the system head-on, amplify voices through platforms like X, or build new tools like Puzzle Skies to ensure accountability? Your choice could shape the next Sky, the next child's dream, the next step toward a world where everyone belongs.